Hello, Gulls fans. We're continuing on with our player and coach interviews, and today the pleasure of being joined by the captain of the San Diego Gulls, Sam Carrick. Thanks a lot for taking your time.
Hey, no problem, Andy.
Okay, so we'll go back a little bit about 2 weeks ago, before all the news, before everything. Well, let's talk some hockey first. You guys had a really difficult loss in Tucson on Tuesday, and then the very next night, very emotional game and a big victory for you guys against the Roadrunners. Just take us through the course of that game, what it meant for the team, and obviously, if the season would have continued at that point, that could have been a very good turning point and a very crucial game for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, it's when people were really starting to talk about the virus, and so obviously we had that in the back of our minds outside of the rink. But at the same time, they were huge games, and anytime we played Tucson this year, they were always, hard-fought games. They're a very fast team. They play with a lot of speed, and they have a lot of offense. So we knew going into it was going to be a tough game, and we were all excited and ready. And like you said, when we lost that first game, we had just that much more motivation to go in there the next night and have a good game. So I thought we did a great job, bouncing back after that loss, and we came in, and a couple guys had huge nights for us, and it was a fun game, and obviously great to get the win against a good team like Tucson. But kind of after that game, everything kind of started to fall apart.
That's going to be a road trip and a sequence of two games that I'll never forget. And I'm sure you and everybody else will feel the same way. I was learning things as the game was going on, and you guys put your phones away, let's say around 4:30 or so. I remember going down to the locker room after that game, and it was such a big win. But at the same time, we all kind of had that feeling of what next? So how were you going through all the emotions, and how did you guys learn all that after the game?
Yeah, I think I forget who it was that someone kind of came in the room and said, "Hey, like they just canceled an NBA game, saying one of the players has the virus." So we were like, "Wow, like what does this mean?" Like we didn't really understand what was going on, but at the same time, we're like, "This can't be good. This is happening way too fast." Even you look 2 days before that, like everything happened so fast within a 48-hour time frame where next thing you know, like, I mean, we kind of figured that the NHL was going to be next to cancel, because they're usually pretty proactive with stuff like this. So, it kind of happened the next day at the airport there. And, but yeah, like you said, it was just a very weird feeling. We're obviously focused, having a good stretch down the road and going into playoffs. But, obviously there's bigger and more important things that go on in life outside of hockey. So we were aware of it. Obviously it's not ideal, but it's just one of those things where everyone has to kind of come together.
When you learned that the season, first of all, first we can talk about the NHL, then we can roll into the AHL, because it started a trickle effect. What was your emotions like, and what was your first reaction? Was it I got to get back home to my family, and I got to make sure that everything's good?
Yeah, absolutely. The weekend before, when we were in San Jose, my whole family was down again to watch me against my brother, and even my grandma, who's in her late 70s, was there as well. So I immediately started thinking about them, and the plan was for them to come spend some time in San Diego with me when I got back from Tucson. So that's kind of what was going through my mind, is how are they gonna hopefully nothing happens to them, and how are they going to manage to get back home. And it was just a lot of things going on in our minds, especially when it hits home to having your grandmother there, who obviously that's who this virus affects the most. So obviously you don't want to think about the worst case scenarios, but it can be hard not to sometimes when it's that close to home.
So once you learned that the seasons all across the board were put on hold, was it find a flight out, let's get home?
Yeah, I mean, originally we were going to stay, because we didn't know how long this was going to last, if it was just going to be a week or so, or 2 weeks. So we went and, we got some groceries. We didn't hoard anything like people were doing, but we got enough for us to get by for at least a week or so. And then things started happening pretty quickly, and we were watching the news every day pretty religiously, and everything happened so quick. So we were just like, okay, we should probably go home before things start to happen at the border in Canada. And when you do come home, we knew we had to do an automatic 14-day quarantine. So we figured it was better to go home the earlier the better, and then kind of get the quarantine out of the way. And then after that 14 days, it doesn't mean that things go back to normal. So we still got some time here. We've been hanging out at home. But definitely happy to have gotten home, to move my wife, my kid, our dog, everything got out of there. And we still have our place in San Diego, and our fingers are still crossed that things are going to start happening, and we'll be back. But for now, we're in a good spot, and we're safe.
You talk about getting everybody back, including your dog. How much support did the organization give you, and how much communication did the Ducks and Gulls give you to get you back home in such a seamless time?
Yeah, they were good. They let us know as soon as the news came out. I think it was more of a league-wide thing where they were allowing, the whole league was saying, if you want to go home, you're welcome to. If you think that's the safest thing for you and your family, then you can do that. So that was great. As far as booking flights and stuff, it was a little eerie being at the airport when there wasn't a lot of people there. A lot of people were on last flight to Toronto, which was pretty crazy because there was a guy in front of us in line who was supposed to fly out the next day, and they had canceled his flight, and he had no way to get home. So we were lucky in that sense, where we were able to get on a flight, all four of us cuddled together with the dog at our feet, and we made it home. Obviously getting here, it was nice. My parents were able to drop off a car at the airport and leave it there, so we had to ride home, and we didn't risk infecting anyone.
Now, this is such a family time. Did your brother go back to Canada as well, or is he in San Jose?
No, he was able to come back. He was just by himself, so he was good. His girlfriend had already flown home, so he just had himself to take home. It was a little easier for him. He just kind of moved out and put his stuff in a storage unit, and he was home maybe a week before me. So he had a lot less work to do than I did, but he's good to go. He's nice and safe at home too.
Well, how have things been like for you and your family since you guys have been secluded?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously it's nice getting to spend a lot of time with my kid, especially in the mornings when, he seems to be his happiest in the mornings and stuff. So that's fun to, hang out with him, and he's starting to walk now. He actually turns 1 a week today. So that's exciting. But yeah, other than that, obviously it's brutal. You're home, but you're not allowed to see family and all your friends who you haven't seen since last summer. It sucks in that sense where, you're so close, but yet so far you can't do anything. But we're lucky. We got, some property, and our house backs onto some conservation land. So we're able to go outside. Today's a beautiful day here too. So I'm sitting outside right now, and it's still a little brisk, but it's that cool time of year where I don't really get to enjoy too much because I'm usually during hockey season. So it's very different. But obviously we wish we were playing hockey right now.
What are some activities that you've been able to do? Have you been able to get out and do walks and do things of that nature?
Yeah, a lot of walks. I've been whacking around a few golf balls just into the field there, and then walking and going and grabbing them. Anything to keep busy. We had a fire yesterday, so that was nice. Picked up some food out in the fire pit, stuff like that. Just try to stay busy, and you try to make the days go by as quickly as possible. And we're on, I think, day 5 now of being home, so it's definitely moving slow, but just take it day by day.
How has it been? I know obviously you want to be playing hockey, you just said that, but spending all the time that you can with your son, especially now that he's going to be 1 soon.
Yeah, that's it. That's the best part. Getting to spend time with the family. It is brutal because the worst part is we were playing so well leading up to this, and we were so excited to go on to a little run here in the final stretch. And we felt our team was as good, if not better, than anyone. So we were pumped. It's heartbreaking to not be out there and seeing the guys every day. You go from seeing your teammates literally every day until everyone's just kind of takes off, and everyone's we're staying in touch over group chat and all that. But right now everyone's spending time with their families, as they should. And for me, I mean, I've just been watching a lot of Netflix here, and like I said, just trying to teach my little guy as much as I can.
Well, I'll ask you,
And it seems to be learning every day, so it has been fun. But
I'll ask you some hockey questions, and we can get into some lighthearted stuff. You guys were on an absolute roll, and I think that, to me, as a guy who watched you guys day in and day out, was the most disheartening thing to see this season come to a pause. What was working for you guys so well during that road trip that was not easy by any means?
Yeah, we just had a complete buy-in by everyone. You look at our roster, and we were a very, very skilled, very good team on paper. And a lot of times that really doesn't mean much if everyone's not buying into the system and buying into, playing their role and playing with each other. And I thought guys were unbelievable. Especially our forward group. Pretty much any one of those guys on every four line could be on the power play, but obviously that's not the case. You can only have 2 power play units. So, the guys that probably should be on the power play, they completely bought into their role, whether it was a PK role or whatnot. But I think that was the best part was, guys bought into our system, bought into what they had as a role. And we were just excited to continue that because, obviously winning games kind of fixes everything. It doesn't really matter what your role is. If you're winning, it's just fun. So, definitely it's too bad that things are on pause right now, but our hopes are high to, keep that roll going.
How tough was that road trip? I mean, 7 games, and we had so many different cities that we were bouncing around in. And you talked about it. You were with guys every day during that road trip too. So it wasn't easy, and you guys were pulling through.
Yeah, it seems like we were on the road a lot this kind of after, like, the second half, I guess, after Christmas. It's been fun. Obviously you want to be home and you want to play in front of your own fans, but when you go on the road, it's a different feeling because you're around the group that much more. You're going into other cities' buildings and against their fans, and you're trying to prove that you're the top team in the league. So spending every day with each other, meals, going out for meals on the road and being on the bus and playing cars and stuff like that's the stuff that you miss when you retire. So, I mean, we were trying to make the most of it. Being in this division, traveling around to, a lot of the same places. It doesn't really matter. You're as long as you're with your group of guys, it's fun no matter what. So, I mean, we had a few more road games and then a few more home games, and, right before you know it, it'd be playoffs. But, we were trying to make the most of those road games as much as we could.
So I'll get you with some lighthearted questions now. You said that you were talking about watching a lot of Netflix. What has been a go-to show or movie for you that you've been attached to?
That's a good question. I think pretty much everyone's been watching that Tiger King series, and I just finished it last night. So, it'd be weird if you haven't seen it by now. But quite the story, quite the characters in that one. So that one definitely kept me entertained for a few days. And then, we usually watch a lot of The Office. That's usually like a morning show for us. We'll kind of wake up, have a couple cups of coffee, cook up some breakfast, and usually we'll have The Office playing. And it's funny too, because my son, he's almost 1 now, and he knows the theme song. As soon as that theme song comes on from The Office, his head perks up and he's like, he glares at it. He loves it. So, a lot of that kind of stuff. And I guess the Ozarks came out today, so I'll probably fire that up tonight. Really, I mean, it kind of sucks. We're not going to be able to do much. I think probably we'll have our own little party with just us 3 here. Maybe get him a little cake that he can I guess that's the tradition, is you're supposed to buy him a cake and let him kind of just destroy it by himself. So we'll do that. We'll do a lot of filming and then send off some videos off to family and friends and stuff, and then maybe once everything settles down, we'll do something in the summer with him and have some people over and really have a celebration for him.
All right, so I got a really good question involving your teammates. If you could pick one Gulls player to be quarantined with, who would it be?
One Gulls player to be quarantined with. Okay, let me think about it for a sec. Oh man, that's good. I'm gonna say Chris Mueller at this point,
Okay.
just because I've been rooming with him a little bit on the road, and he's quite the he's quite the guy to get going. I like kind of rattling his gears a little bit. He's an easier guy to kind of get him kind of frustrated and get in his head a little bit. So I think we'd probably end up getting into a few scraps by the end of it, but
Yeah.
it would be fun for a while there to try to get him grumpy.
What do you think you two would be doing a lot? Do you think it'd be watching Netflix, playing cards, or playing games? What would be the activity you two would do?
Oh, I'd be rinsing him in cards the whole time. Any game, probably a lot of crib. Yeah, there's another actually. I've been playing Luke Gasdick and a lot of crib lately on plane rides and stuff. So I wouldn't mind getting quarantined with him and getting to beat him in crib for a few days. That'd be kind of fun too.
So who would be two of your teammates that would just be inseparable right now during the quarantine? Like it would almost be like the quarantine doesn't exist.
Quarantine doesn't. Okay. You got to think the French guys like to stick together a lot. So I
Yeah.
think Morin, Simon Benoit, they're always together. So I could see them. They're already inseparable before this quarantine. So I mean, they would be. They'd probably be in heaven to get to post up for 2 weeks together.
Okay, that's all I got. We'll stop going after the teammates here. But one thing I want to finally touch on, though, is we talked about being on the road for such a long time. And one thing that I was relieved was just to get back home after that win on Wednesday in Tucson and see the fans on Friday. And unfortunately, we have to wait a little bit longer. So, with our eventual time getting in front of the fans, what kind of message do you have for them and during this difficult time as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've supported us every year that I've been here, just unbelievably. We've always been right at the top of the league in attendance, and it's just been such a cool experience for me to have a fun fan base like we have here every year. And whether it doesn't matter if the team's losing or winning, they're behind us every time, and it just makes us want to win that much more for them. So we can't wait to get back in front of them. Obviously, it sucks the way that things have stopped here for at least a little while, and we were, like you said, we were super excited to get back. Especially getting those Friday night Bud Light nights crowds going, and going into playoffs too, and when the games are just that much more important. So yeah, sucks the way that things have kind of paused here, but we can't wait to get back in front of them and obviously get a few wins.
All right, Sam. Thanks a lot for your time. Stay safe, and hopefully enjoy little Liam's first birthday party, and your family sticks together and gets through this time.
All right, Zilch, you too, buddy. I appreciate it, and stay safe to you as well. And hopefully we'll see you soon.